Hey, everybody. How's it going? We're going to be talking about lead generation networking style with the resident expert and networking geek and expert, Kerry George. Welcome, Kerry. Happy to have you here.
I feel great being here. I was just thinking that networking, resident networking geek. I haven't been called that before. That's awesome.
I'll give you a new title. Thanks. You're welcome. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
I bring people together so that they can refer one another leads, get each other business, collaborate together, do projects together. We also do training, a lot of business training, and we do mastermind strategy sessions. So I pretty much am like a full out entrepreneur, just kind of going hard, dealing with one business after another from morning till night every day because I love it.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that's like. None. No idea what the going hard thing looks like. So tell me what your CIBN group is.
Well, CIBN Connect. CIBN stands for Connected International Business Network. And if you've ever been out business networking at a chamber of commerce, or maybe you have been at that other group that shall not be named that has a B and an N and some other letter that might rhyme with buy. You might have seen something like what we do in the networking realm. There's a lot of free networking that's happening these days too that you might have been part of. And if you were going to compare CIBN to them, what you should know is that is like 10% of what we do. So we have like the networking that's going on. We have a lot of it, a lot of different groups that are happening, but we also have business training, things like we show business owners how to capitalize on their social media marketing, for example, and how to put that together with their networking. So when you meet somebody face to face, you actually, connect with them on LinkedIn, and you get them following you on LinkedIn and friending you on Facebook and reaching out and saying something on Twitter, and, just having that ongoing connection, because it takes 7 to 14 touches, or now they're saying like 60 touches to get a sale. My God. But if you're using your social media with your actual face-to-face networking, whether that be on Zoom or actual face-to-face live networking, you're going to have so much better responses and get so much more business from it than you would if you just went networking and gathered cards.
Yeah. And hey, Tish, good to see you. Yeah, this like networking and gathering cards and whatnot is an old way of doing business, I think.
Yes.
It's just a tip of the iceberg as far as like what we need to do. And I'm right there with you. I am in one of those B groups. But what I have learned is that your online presence and your offline presence and your networking and everything starts to become this surround sound effect where people start to see you everywhere.
Absolutely. And that works best that way. If they're seeing you everywhere and they're feeling connected to you. I mean, it's so much better. Can you imagine? Okay, so you go talk to somebody, you meet them one time, and this is what happens. People goes networking, they meet somebody one time, and they figure, well, they should give me all their leads. They should give me business right now.
And they don't.
Yeah, and they don't stop and think about, well, do you do that for them? Like, really? You just opened up your repertoire and just said, okay, here's my best clients for this stranger? Of course not. But you expect that they will do that for you. And so what does it take to get that person to that level where they're ready to do it for you? It takes more than one interaction. And it takes building a friendship and building a relationship, not just having this one-time deal. So in our organization, one of the things that we do that's different is we help people learn that. We help them walk through the steps. We have a networking success path, and we start them going through that process so that they realize that it's probably not going to happen on your first meeting. And here's what you should do on your second meeting. And if this person looks like they're a good person to bring you leads and actually work with you, you probably want to have a third meeting. You want to actually win them over.
And a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. And it's a period of a lot of meetings over time so that you can actually learn even, about each other and who to refer. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to network because, every time I've networked, I felt like all people were doing was meeting me so that I would bring them business.
Yep. And in a way that's true because they want you to bring them business and you want them to bring you business. So it's kind of reciprocal, but it's not like you end up meeting these people and when you start actually building relationship with them and they matter to you, it's not really like that anymore because now they're friends and you want to give them business and they want to give you business because they now know, like, and trust you. And in our organization, it's not even friendship anymore. We say it's like a business family. It's a community. Yeah. People care about each other. They can't wait to see each other. When we used to do it face-to-face around the table, people would actually act like they're getting together with their family once a week and show up and eat, break bread. But even online, we're finding that is still happening. People meet, they spend time together online. They go to each other's webinars and support each other. They post each other's stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, totally. And that's what it's about, is that like real, honest, in-depth connection. And it doesn't happen on the first glance, on the first meeting, like, hey, I saw you at a networking meeting. Here, let me send you 12 referrals.
Haley, it's kind of like I had somebody explain this to me years ago when I first started in business. And they said when you're getting into business with somebody, if you were going to partner in business with somebody, it's kind of like a marriage. So you want to like date first and get to know each other. And then it moves into this deeper relationship. And, if you think about networking, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like first you flirt a little bit. And I'm not saying that you go flirting in sexual ways on your networking, but I mean, it's these steps,
right,
where there's this little bit of interaction of, oh, are we interested in each other and helping each other? And then the next step is, well, yes, we are. Now we're going to get to know each other better. Like we're going to go steady for a little bit. But before you really start partnering with people and really collaborating with them, some form of relationship has to be built before you're ready to just, open up your connections and share them with that person. And of course, they're going to feel the same about you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's those deeper relationships and friendships and connections that yield the better referral partners.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you learn to do this right, it's extremely profitable. So I know that you wanted me to talk a little bit about that today because some people think that they can't make money networking. So I came prepared with some stories.
So tell me a story.
You like story time?
I like story time. So pull out your book and read me a story and put me to bed. No, just kidding.
Well, once upon a time, there was a single mother named Kerry who started a marketing business and wanted to sell her marketing to business owners, and she didn't know any. So she got in her car and she drove to the city 1 hour, and she went and visited people and attended networking meetings. And when she went to the networking meeting, she found out, oh my God, all the business owners hang out in one place. This is awesome. So being B2B, it was phenomenal because all of them were there in one place. And I started to write some business. And that saved me from dying and going out of business. So I kept doing it. So that was kind of how Kerry got started. But I learned some things along the way. And one fun one was, here's a fun one. A lot of people think that you have to have a big group. The bigger the group, the better it is. So I'm going to tell you something. This was a lesson I learned one time. I started helping this guy run a networking meeting. And he was running it in another small city. I lived in the country. And I started helping him run this meeting. It was 7:30 a.m. It was an hour and a half from my house on a clear sunny day. And in the middle of February in Canada, it is not necessarily clear sunny days. So in the middle of the night, I got up and realized that snow was coming down sideways. And my 7:30 meeting is an hour and a half away.
In good weather.
Oh yeah, in good weather, right? So and now I'm deciding, like, what am I going to do? Because I can't cancel this event, because you can't call people in the middle of the night and tell them that the event is canceled. So your reputation is on the line. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to go to this thing. So I leave like at 5 a.m. to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's earlier now. It's like 4:30. And I braved the snow. And I mean, I had to scrape ice off my car. I'm shivering. I hate mornings, by the way. I also hate snow. There was nothing about
You live too far north, darling.
Oh, this is awful. Okay. So I'm like Frosty the Snowman going down the road with an attitude, taking like 3 hours to get there instead of an hour and a half. White knuckled. I get there. There are 4 people who show up at this meeting, and one of them is the other organizer. You can imagine my, just frustration of having to gone through this. But an interesting thing happened that morning. There were only really 2 people that were not, part of, the network. It's me and the other guy. He was a real estate agent. We sat there and we talked to these 2 people. And we just talked because nobody else was around and we had nothing else to do. So we just had this nice long conversation. I wrote $70,000 worth of annual business that day at that meeting. $70,000. So one of them bought a big package from me, and the other one said, geez, I think my friend would be interested in this. He only lives a few blocks from here. He's probably snowed in. Let's call him and see if he wants to brave the snow and come on over here. Mm-hmm. And he did. And I wrote another big one with him. And I wrote $70,000 worth of annual business that morning at a meeting that most people would have went, oh my God, that was such a write-off, such a waste of my time. Just keeping a good attitude and, just talking about business and using the opportunity to have conversations, and got us a lot deeper in relationship, a lot faster, because we couldn't go anywhere. We're snowed in. It turned out to be the perfect storm, really.
Literally,
it was the perfect storm. And for me, it was a life-changing moment because I was really struggling financially at that time. And that was a game changer for me. And then I realized what I needed was more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do know. And those connections are where the clients come from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how they come in.
Yeah, we started doing that over a decade ago, and doing a lot of it around the table. And then in about 2015, I started thinking about, we should be able to do this online. And there was a lot of resistance to that at first. People were like, no, we don't want to do that online. You got to have eyeballs to eyeballs. You got to be belly to belly. You got to see people right there, shake their hands, And I was thinking, I don't think so. I think that we could do this online, and I think it would be a time saver. So in 2017, we started building the online portals to put some of our training onto video and make it available for people anywhere. And in 2019, in May, we launched our first online meetings on Zoom. And we were building them for about a year before COVID hit. And in our trial period there, we discovered we could actually network for a quarter of the cost, a quarter of the time. And our members that were participating that way were having 3 times the profit. Mm-hmm. So when COVID happened, and all of a sudden we took all of our live groups. We had many live groups in more than one city. We moved them all online very quickly. And then we had kind of an explosion happen where people started joining us from all over the place. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So what are some misconceptions that people have about networking in general?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think one of them is the person that I need to meet isn't in the room. That's one I've heard a lot. And if, and sometimes it's people like they need to talk to a client, for example, that does $1 million a year in business, or maybe they need a client that has, like, maybe they fix computers and they're looking for a client that has like 50 computers. And they're like, okay, that guy isn't in the room. So networking is not where I'm going to find him. That's actually very wrong. It's not true at all. Because the person you're looking for, no matter who you are, is probably not in the room. And it's the first thing you have to realize is that you're not trying to sell everybody in the room.
Yeah, the person you're looking for is almost never actually physically in the room.
Exactly. Right. So you got to get over that, first of all, and stop, get out of that mindset. Start looking at, well, who's in the room that would work with the person that I want? Those guys, they're in the room, because your accountants and your lawyers and your, the guys that do, say, life insurance, that maybe the ones that do group benefit plans and stuff like that. Who are their clients? There are those people that you want to do business with. That's just a couple of them. Marketing guys that are handling large clients. They're talking to decision makers at those businesses that you need to do business with. And we have found over the years that just about everyone who comes along who says, my client isn't in the room because I'm a special snowflake, okay, they leave. And then a little while later, someone else comes along who does exactly the same thing. And they go, maybe the contact I need is here. And they hang out for a while and start meeting them. And the next thing you know, they're cleaning house because they took the time to meet the people and find out. And here's another misconception. That person over there couldn't help me. They're not anyone who would know anyone that I would know. How do you know who they know? Do you got a crystal ball?
Yeah.
The reality is, like, one time we were doing a live event, and I had we live in an oil and gas city. So I had this guy show up who thought he was all that in a bag of chips. And he was seated next to a Tupperware lady. And afterwards, he was so offended that I seated him next to the Tupperware lady. He's so much better than her, and she could possibly not have anything to give him. Yeah, her husband was the CEO of a major oil and gas company. And boy, did he blow it by dissing her, right? So, I mean, you don't know who people know, right? And you should just be nice to people and explain what you do. There's another one for you, Haley. Here's a common misconception. In the infomercials that people give about who they are and what they do, they tend to speak geek or their language, whatever it is. So they think they can walk off the street from wherever they're at and just walk into this meeting where nobody understands what they do. And they can just use that speak that they commonly use on the job. And
TLA, here we go.
Yeah.
3-letter acronyms, TLA.
Yes, exactly. Acronyms, it's another language. People don't understand what you're talking about, right? And if you, like, I had a guy, and it's often the tech people who do stuff like that, and they come in.
Oh, and I speak fluent geek, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you speak fluent geek, but when you're talking to people, you basically got to ask them, like, what's your problem? And get them to identify the problem, and then the answers. But you don't, if you come in giving the acronyms, they're clueless. They don't know what you're talking about, So I've seen computer fixing kind of guys, IT people that would be fixing the computers come in and they just answer this, they do an infomercial that sounds like it's in another language. And then they go, this networking doesn't work. Nobody's here that will do business with me. And that's kind of true because they've set themselves up for failure. But then I had another guy one time. He's like, I'm a computer doctor. I fix your computer. Are you having problems with things like, and just goes through this list of things that people have problems with. And they're like, yeah. So that guy cleans up because he is identifying it and talking in a language that people understand. Where the first guy came in and gave all his acronyms and nobody even understood for a second what it was that he offered. Yeah. So that's one. Yeah, there's a lot of fun, a lot of things that people have these ideas. Well, here's another one. I've been doing networking for years and I know how it's done. There is one for you. So I have a challenge for people who say that. Are you making $150,000 a year from networking? Because if you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing. If you're not, maybe you want to have a look at the networking success path and start figuring out a few new ways. Because in my early years of networking, I made $150,000 a year just from the networking. And I did it because I had a mentor, somebody who actually took me by the hand and showed me how. So that's what we've done, is we've created a way of kind of mentoring people en masse so that they can get into it faster and understand
That's
better.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and just like anything else, this takes time. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know that I want to put the effort into it. I don't know about you, but 150,000 a year sounds amazing.
Yep. It's been worth it every step of the way. And everyone who has come along and invested the time, I think that they would agree. I have, and, some other interesting stats. 80% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. Maybe you've heard that.
Yep.
I think in COVID, it's been worse. It's been a nightmare. But at CIB, it depends on what field they are. And it also depends on how you view things, and who you're surrounded by. So being part of a network is really, really awesome, because if you're surrounded by people who believe that things can work, you're going to find a way to make things work. But what we've seen when people are not part of the business network or any kind of business network, they actually believe what the news reports. Oh, business is down, the economy's failing, it's terrible, and they're making their decisions based off that. But, and we've seen that in our city, like, for example, real estate agents that are not part of our network will talk like that, where real estate agents that are part of the network are like, yeah, business is up, sold a house, mortgage brokers are saying, yep, and getting people into new mortgages. And so they uplift each other and keep each other going with current event and news that's like grassroots on the ground kind of thing, without, relying on what's happening. So this statistic with 80% of businesses failing in our network at CIBN for more than a decade, we've had less than a 1% failure rate in the membership.
That's amazing.
And it's not just what we do, it's what they do for each other.
Right. Well, and that's the power of a solid network and a master, doing the things together, a mastermind, a network, all of these things. And I'm also going to throw this out there. It doesn't have to be super costly.
No. I mean, there's organizations out there that will actually charge. Well, and we did too. When we were doing it live, it was $700 to $900 up front just to get started, and $150 a month. But now networking at CIBN Connect is $59 a month. And that covers everything except the mastermind program. The mastermind program is a few extra nights a month, and it's about brainstorming strategy, and that's $299 a month. But anyone can get started at $59 a month.
It's amazing.
It's affordable, right? People can do it.
And that's the thing I really want to put out there, is that getting the resources to get the clients, to get the network to do the things is likely not going to be completely free if you're doing in-person networking groups. Or at least not if you're doing high quality in-person networking groups.
Yeah, because you can go to free ones. And if you know what you're doing, if I went to free groups, I could get people to buy whatever I wanted because I've been doing it so long I know how. But the average person won't get any training at all going to free groups. And so they'll spin their tires in the mud, and then they can't figure out why they're not making any money. And they don't know what their next steps should be. They just know that it's not working. So therefore, network doesn't work. But I say networking works if you work your nets.
Networking works if you work your nets. I love it so much. How does somebody get in touch with you?
You can text me 403-397-1909. You can send me an email. My email is kgeorge@cibnconnect.com. Our website is thecibn.com. So you can reach out to me through those ways. I'm pretty accessible to my people, except when I'm vacationing.
And then you're not.
Yeah, I just did 6 months worth of vacation, so I'm good now. We can, I'll be around for a while now.
That sounds good. That sounds delightful. And
It
it's
was
all the
awesome.
power of networking. I love it.
Yeah. Well, now that we're doing it online and we've got systems and everything, actually, my dad was diagnosed with cancer last year. So we went in March. We got rid of our house. We moved to him where he was for 2-3 months, helped him go to his treatments and all that stuff. And then we started traveling across Canada. Because of the lockdowns, we couldn't really go anywhere else. But Canada's big. We can go long ways. We drove like it was I think in
You can
miles.
drive for days.
Oh my God. You would not. It's like from where I live, if you did nothing but drive, it would take you 8 or 9 days to get to the East Coast if you only drove. So it was a couple weeks actually just getting out there. And we went all the way to Nova Scotia, dipped our feet in the water. We worked like a day a week. Then we came back. We stayed in Toronto for a bit. We went and stayed in Winnipeg for a bit. We went back to Calgary. And then we went to the West Coast because I just didn't have enough yet.
I love it.
Went to BC. That was fun. So yeah, we were posting pictures from all over the place.
That's amazing. That's how it's done. That's that dream life. And Tish says, woot, East Coast. Yeah, you're from the East Coast, girlfriend. I love it.
Where's Tish from?
She's Canadian.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, she's from the Maritimes out there. I remember her saying that. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we went and seen just about everything that we could. I think next year we're going to do it again. We're going to go longer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then I'm going to put myself in a crate and get across the border somehow and come see you.
I think you can get across the border just fine now. Getting back to Canada could be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there are some challenges out there.
Yeah, well, I can't guarantee that you can get back, but you can definitely get here. She says Fredericton, New Brunswick, born and raised a Caper.
Yep. I love New Brunswick. Actually, that was one of my favorite places as we were traveling. So gorgeous. You don't realize until you get there that it's so mountainous. And really? Oh my gosh, it's so mountainous as you drive across New Brunswick, going to Nova Scotia. And it's so much further than you think that it is because the main highway goes along the length of it. So it's actually, I thought once I got to Quebec City, it wouldn't be too far to get to where we wanted to go. But New Brunswick is much bigger than it looks.
On the map?
It's lots of, and it's very mountainous. You're going way up and then you're coming way down to the other side. And we stayed at an amazing, we did a lot of Airbnbs. We stayed at this really big, beautiful mansion right on the water in New Brunswick. And it was close to the Nova Scotia border. And you could almost see Prince Edward Island from there. It was amazing.
That's cool. She says, did you get to the Cabot Trail? I grew up on the Cabot Trail.
I did get to the Cabot Trail. I love the Cabot Trail. My only regret was that we didn't get to spend days on it. I would have liked to spend like 3 or 4 days going around the Cabot Trail. So that's why I want to go back.
Y'all are giving me like a whole bucket list of things to do.
Oh my God, it was so awesome. One of the things we did on Cape Breton Island was we went and saw, oh my God, his name is failing me now. It's an inventor. She probably knows. Is it Einstein or it wasn't Einstein. It was Alexander Graham Bell. There's a museum there because apparently at some point he decided he wanted to be a Canadian. And he bought land in Nova Scotia at Cape Breton Island. And he was doing all kinds of experimentation out there for flying and for creating telephones. And there was, and he kept such good records. He got sued once as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of patent lawsuit,
Yep.
So the camera had just become a thing. So he got a camera and started like taking photography along with his notes on everything that he did. And there is this amazing museum on Cape Breton Island that has like some of the oldest photographs that are known to man in that museum. And the castle that he built is still sitting there. Like that was fascinating. Just seeing, that was one of the highlights of Cape Breton Island. Actually, it was beautiful.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like that. We don't just travel; we actually travel and stop, and we go to museums and we look at things. And
That's fun. I love that.
Driving
Any
along
good
the highway.
chocolate?
What's that?
Any good chocolate?
Oh yeah, found some great chocolate. Found some other great like specialty kind of food items along the way. Do you guys got beaver tails where you're from? Beaver tails is an East Coast thing, and that is pretty interesting. It's kind of like it's a pastry that is deep fried, and they put stuff like maple syrup on it.
Okay.
So I'm from like Western Canada, so we don't see that out here at all. So that's something that's in Eastern Canada. You see these little shops set up, and they call them beaver tails, and they are way too decadent. It's a good thing they only exist out there, or I would be 3,000 pounds. But maple syrup, oh my gosh, some of the best maple syrup bought on those trips.
I'd be like drinking my weight in maple syrup.
It's amazing in French press coffee. It's so good.
Don't get me started. No, thank you.
It is so good. Yeah, we tried a lot of, I think seafood too is something that you see a lot on the East Coast. There was some really great
lobster rolls.
Yeah, and some of the best chowder was in Nova Scotia. We went and we visited some. Actually, that was on Cape Breton Island too. There was a chowder place that we went to that was just unbelievable chowder. I'm like, oh my God, that's what chowder is supposed to taste like. Really awesome. And we were networking when we went across the country too. We stopped and we have members now from all over Canada and all over the United States. So and all over the world. So when we stop, we were going to visit people, or they were coming to meet us. And yeah, we actually got to see them face to face and take pictures with them. And that was lots of fun.
That's pretty darn amazing. I love it. And it's that connection, right? The more you connect with people, the more relationships you build, the more friendships you build. It all goes around.
Yeah, we did lives all the way. Every week I did a live showing where we were, talking about what we were doing. Had so much fun, and sometimes brought in some of the members that we were meeting up with. We would do the live with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was fun too.
She said, did you go to the Dancing Goat Cafe?
I missed the Dancing Goat Cafe, but it sounds like a good time. Do the Irish Rovers play there?
Sounds like we could get into all kinds of trouble here.
Absolutely.
All kinds of trouble here. Y'all check her out.
Here's another fun fact for you too. When you work on the road like that, you get to write off the trip. So instead of
absolutely.
Yeah. And my husband does videography, so we were taking all kinds of footage for future projects and B-roll, and oh my gosh, we got so much stuff done while we were out there having fun. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that is something, worth pointing out. If you travel and you're meeting people and you're having business meetings along the way, check with your CPA, and it may be a tax write-off.
Absolutely. There's ways to do it. And if your CPA doesn't have answers, ask another one.
Absolutely. If mom says no, ask dad. Ask another CPA.
Exactly. Because there's probably a way of doing it. You just got to be creative, and, of course, don't do anything illegal, but find out what can you do, what's within the boundaries of the law that you can get away with. And when you're doing things like lives and you're interviewing actual people that you do business with as you travel, then that those are legitimate write-offs for wherever you're going, or if you go to a conference as you go. But we had a lot of fun along the way. You know what we love to do when we're driving is you're going along the road and you see a historical landmark sign of some kind along the highway. We're like, pull over. What is that? So
I love it. She says it's a cafe with a bakery. The Gaelic College has some good parties after the Celtic Colors concert. Square dances are a good time in Naboo too.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff. I went and played bingo.
Was there alcohol involved?
No, and I hadn't played bingo like in 100 years, so it was a lot of fun.
That sounds.
I totally they made jokes about actually taking good Alberta money, so I totally contributed to the maritime economy while I was there. Spent a heck of a pile of bingo, I have to tell you, and did not win a single thing.
Oh, bummer.
I know. It's a good thing I was having a good time, I'm telling you.
Well, and that's what you do, is you go to have a good time, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been fun. Y'all check Kerry out. Let's talk. Let's connect. Let's be real. Let's go make some money together.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And then let's go on great trips and write them off.
Yeah, I want to do a round the world trip. That's my next one. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.